Hey guys, what's going on? It's Ash here coming at you today in Clash Royale. We're hopping right into the gameplay today because today I have Eron on. He's an Albanian pro from Nova. He's pushing the Big Bang account and he is one of the best, if not the best, bait players I've ever seen. He has some great gameplay here, so I want to start right with the play-by-play and not introduce a long preamble before the main video starts here in this episode. So this is going to be the 11th and 12th win in a grand challenge, and then we're going to go ahead and transition into a ladder match to end off the video. So we're going against a Hog Rocket Princess deck here to start out with, and you're going to see how he relentlessly goes ahead and baits out that log with the Goblin Barrel, and that's going to be a common theme here. We also are playing the version of the deck, as you can see on the overlay, with the Tornado. So the Tornado being added even into a bait deck, and we still have the Rocket as well. So a really interesting move, but with all the Hog going around, both on ladder and even in challenges, there's a lot of bacon out there, so we want to be able to activate our King Tower. And with the Minion Horde being one of the most difficult kind of cards to face as a bait player, really the Princess being your only line of defense against a Minion Horde, having the Tornado actually helps out a lot. You can get it into the one-hit range of a Princess Tower if for whatever reason your Princess is out of cycle, out of rotation. So speaking of the Princess, one thing that you're going to see throughout all of these replays is how good of a job Eron, Freudian slip there, does at protecting the Princess at all times. He is really prioritizes keeping the Princess alive. Of course, not every situation you're going to be able to protect her, such as the mini P.E.K.K.A played at the bridge, but you're going to see a reoccurring theme here is the value of the Princess, and he's not afraid to use the log against the Princess on the opposing side every single time. Look at the perfect Tornado there, avoiding any hits from that Hog Rider. Remember, the Hog was used to activate the King Tower on the previous push there. So Nikki Bay from Reddit Alpha, shout out to Reddit Alpha, goes ahead and decides to go super aggressive with the Rocket. So now it's time to make him pay. We sent the Goblin Barrel on the left lane, and then we sent the Goblins and Goblin Gang into the right lane, got a decent amount of chip damage. Meanwhile, we have two Princesses on the board right now, and we're going to go ahead and stymie this Hog Rider push in the right lane. Again, not one hit with that Hog Rider onto the right tower. So again, we're going to use a predictive log. Didn't work out that time. That might be the only mistake, if you can even call it a mistake, that we'll see Eron make throughout all of these replays here. So we are we are now officially into overtime. Watch how patient Eron is here. So here comes the Knight in the right lane. Is he going to combo with the Goblin Barrel? No, he is not, because the opponent has log in cycle. Meanwhile, we have two Princesses on the left. Wait for it. There's the Rocket. Now we're going to start to punish in the right. We have Goblin Barrel in hand. We're going to send in a Juke Goblin Barrel. Try to avoid the log there, but log was not used. Anticipating the anticipating the Juke Barrel saves the log for the Princess. That can only mean one thing. That means we have to cycle back to a Goblin Barrel before the opponent can cycle back to a log. And here it comes. It's Goblins, Goblin Gang, and a log, all shot at that right tower. Predicting the Princess didn't work out this time. It doesn't matter. Tower is down, and Nikki is left just saying, wow, 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 at the end of that match. So let's go ahead and hop into the next replay, which I think might even be more impressive against Flo here. Now, this time, just a note for you guys. Big Bang, Eron is at the top of your screen and not the bottom. Check out this gameplay. This is going to be a match that you're definitely going to want to emulate yourself. Take notes, guys. This is A+ log bait gameplay. So here it comes. A Knight dropped off at the back of the tower, and then we're going to use the Princess on the other side of the tower. At this point, trying to kind of ascertain what deck exactly Flo is playing. You're not necessarily expecting an Expo deck, but that indeed is going to be the case. We're going to be saving that Rocket. Rocket's going to be a great counter, obviously, to the Expo. So once we identify that he's using the Expo, we're going to be saving that rocket for every single time, unless we're getting tons of value in another way. So there's the Expo, and of course there's the rocket. Not necessarily the best Expo placement there, but, you know, Flo at this point should have known that Big Bang, or obviously did know that Big Bang was running bait, which means he's going to be running rocket. He gave a lot of value there with the archers and the Expo in the same lane. So now both opponents kind of waiting each other out, and of course, when there's nothing obvious to do, you're always going to be playing your princess in the back of the king tower. So there's the princess in one lane, again the knight in the other lane here. We know the opponent doesn't have Expo in cycle. We don't have rocket in cycle either, so nothing to worry about on that end. And there's the log, obviously, against the Goblin Barrel. Meanwhile, the Mega Minion finishes off that knight. So here it's time for defense again. We've been very patient with our elixir, making sure we always have enough, not overcommitting on offense for the rocket. Now we're in the clear again for another, 30 seconds or so before the opponent has the Expo back in rotation. But it's very important, no matter what deck you guys are playing, that whether it's a mortar or an Expo, you want to make sure you have the necessary cards and the necessary elixir to defend. In this case, you always want to make sure you have the rocket and 6 elixir to actually use it, so you're going to have to be very cautious on offense here. And you can see with 45, now tricking down to 40 seconds, tricking or ticking? Not tricking, Ash. Ticking down to 40 seconds here, you can see that, hey, we're at a tower damage disadvantage at this point. So let's see how Eron makes the comeback here. So here comes the knight in the Goblin Barrel, of course. It's going to be useless, rendered useless by the log, but we're going to be protecting this princess as we talked about. So Goblin Gang just barely, narrowly keeping the princess alive. It's all for naught because the Expo ends up targeting her before it locked on briefly to the right tower. So now, again, splitting goblins in back of the king tower, and then knowing that the log is in cycle, we're going to drop kind of a juke barrel, but again, it's not going to connect. At this point in the match, it seems like nothing is going right for Big Bang. Now here comes the rocket again, not getting all the value there, missing one of the archers, but it's time to get something going. We're not panicking, we're still staying the course here. And the opponent does have rocket. I think once Flo decides to rocket cycle earlier than Eron does, which is always a possibility, then we'll start going super aggressive. So maybe that's going to be the strategy, and it looks like indeed that is. So rocket number 1 hits that right tower. Now 2 more rockets and it's game over. So Eron, it's time to go really, really hard. So we're going to go Goblin Barrel in the left tower. Meanwhile, goblins do connect to the right tower for a decent amount of chip damage there. Using that Goblin Barrel in the opposite tower allowed the Spear Goblins from the Goblin Gang and the Goblins that were previously put down on the map to actually connect with that right tower. Now there's no log in cycle. We're going to get even more chip damage. Now Princess at the bridge baits out the log, not on the Goblin Barrel, on that right lane. So now things are much more even. All we need is a rocket and a log at this point, and the game is ours. Can we connect for any damage? Well, the opponent used their log on that princess, so the log is out of rotation. This is exactly what bait is all about, and the opponent has nothing they can do except to lose that right tower. And you saw there, guys, Eron really made it look easy. Let's face it, it looked like that was easy, but you can see essentially we just went nitty-gritty into the details of bait and how it's executed and how you can use the Goblin Barrel in some situations as a bait card, meaning that we wanted the opponent to use the log against the Goblin Barrel when it went to the left tower. That way we could really punish hard with the Goblins, Goblin Gang, and Knight in the opposite lane, or the Princess. So we're going on to the ladder match, guys. This time we go ahead, and early activation on the King Tower is really important, and we got it there using the Tornado again. 2 matches now where the Tornado really comes in handy. Now the opponent this time, unlike the first 2 matches, does not have the log and fails on that King Tower activation. I guess Gao is his name. Anyway, let's see how we handle this matchup. Right now, kind of a standoff. We do have the slight elixir advantage, though. So, you know what's going to happen. It's going to be Princess in the right lane, right? There it is. Obviously, you want to always put the Princess, just like Three Musketeers, you want to split towards the side of the tower with more health that your opponent's not targeting. Princess, the same deal. Split her towards the tower that the opponent isn't targeting. Oftentimes, they'll go ahead and refocus onto that tower. Now, a good job identifying that there's no big spells in cycle because the opponent used the fireball. They're forced to use zap, but look at all the chip damage we're getting on this right tower. What a really observant push there. Just knowing that the fireball and the tornado were both out of cycle there for Gao, and what do? We punished. You have to seize on those opportunities, and even more, you have to identify those opportunities when you can punish, being a good bait player. So now it's going to be Princess in the left lane this time, just what we talked about there. We dropped the Princess off in the tower with the most health. So Princess in the left, she's going to run support. Unfortunately, she's going to fall victim to the Musketeer, but again, we cause the opponent to refocus their attention onto the left lane now and not the right lane. Meanwhile, the opponent does have Fireball. They opt to use Tornado instead. It's not going to work out. That was not a good decision by the opponent, and it ends up costing him the tower. And why should they have used the Fireball instead? Because you saw it there. The Tornado, unfortunately, did not kill the Goblins, and the tower was already locked onto the Knight. So, yeah, I mean, the Knight still tanked, even after the Tornado, and the you have to have Zap. You have to combo the Tornado with Zap, because the Goblins were able to take down that left tower. Now, only 20 seconds left. All we have to do at this point is just defend if we're Eron, and he's going to do that very, very nicely here. He's going to go ahead and use the Tornado. The opponent zaps, but it doesn't matter. You're going to use Tornado, cycle the Goblin Gang, and the Hog doesn't even get a hit on the tower. Neither does the Knight in the other lane. That's going to be a victory for us, a victory for Big Bang, and a victory for Eron. So thank you so much for coming on, Eron. Great gameplay there. I hope you guys enjoyed this kind of new meta shift bait deck with the Tornado in all three of the Goblins, Goblin Gang, Goblins, and Goblin Barrel. Guys, thanks so much for watching. Huge shout out to Bren Chong, my YouTube sponsor. Check him out in the description below. Thank you so much, and as always, take care, guys.